What happens when a nation unravels? Not in a day, not in a year, but piece by piece, until government, law, and even hope itself collapse. Welcome to Somalia, a land with a rich history, strategic geography, and a proud people, but also the site of one of the most devastating and misunderstood civil wars of the modern era. From the fall of a dictator in 1991 to the infamous Black Hawk Down incident of 1993, from the rise of warlords and pirates to the emergence of extremist groups like Al-Shabaab, Somalia's civil war is more than just headlines of famine and chaos. It's a story of resilience, international intrigue, missed opportunities, and the enduring struggle of a people caught between survival and hope. In today's deep dive, we'll uncover how a Cold War dictator's downfall plunged Somalia into anarchy, why American troops became entangled in a bloody street battle in Mogadishu, how warlords, clans, pirates, and extremists shaped 3 decades of turmoil, and the surprising lessons Somalia teaches us about global politics today. If you're a history buff who craves immersive storytelling, buckle up. This is the complete story of the Somalia Civil War. Part 1. Somalia before the collapse. To understand the war, we need to step back. Somalia wasn't always synonymous with failed state. Geography and heritage. Somalia sits on the Horn of Africa, controlling some of the most strategic shipping lanes in the world. For centuries, Somali traders linked Africa to Arabia and Asia. Its people share a common language, culture, and Islamic faith, something rare in Africa, where colonial borders often cut across ethnic lines. Colonial legacy. But colonialism divided Somalia. Britain, Italy, France, and Ethiopia all carved pieces. After independence in 1960, these divisions lingered. Still, compared to its neighbors, Somalia seemed unusually united. The rise of Siad Barre. In 1969, after a coup, Major General Mohammed Siad Barre seized power. He promised scientific socialism, mixing Marxist ideas with Somali nationalism. For 2 decades, Barre ruled with an iron fist. His regime modernized education and infrastructure, but also relied on brutal repression, clan favoritism, and Cold War patronage. Here's a mythbuster. Many think Somalia's collapse was purely tribal warfare. In reality, Cold War politics played a massive role. When Somalia broke with the Soviets in 1977 and embraced the US, it became a pawn in global geopolitics. The Ogaden War, 1977-78. Somalia invaded Ethiopia to reclaim Somali-inhabited territory. The US and USSR switched sides mid-conflict. Ethiopia, backed by Soviet advisors and Cuban troops, crushed Somalia. The war drained the economy, fueled clan rivalries, and discredited Siad Barre. By the late 1980s, Somalia was a powder keg. The Cold War was ending, US support was waning, and Barre's repression had made him enemies in nearly every clan. Part 2, 1991, the collapse. In January 1991, the Barre regime finally fell. Rebel groups, many clan-based, swept into Mogadishu. But instead of unity, the capital descended into chaos. Power vacuum. Somalia had no transition plan, no institutions left. Warlords filled the void. Among them, General Mohammed Farah Aidid and Ali Mahdi Mohammed, who became bitter rivals. Clan dynamics. Somalia's society is deeply rooted in clans, extended kinship networks. Clans aren't just family, they shape politics, alliances, and survival. With no state, clans became the organizing principle of war and protection. Warlord rule. Each faction carved up territory. Looting, extortion, and violence became daily life. Infrastructure collapsed. Mogadishu turned into a battlefield of checkpoints, militias, and shifting front lines. Here's a surprising fact. By the early 1990s, Somalia had no functioning central government, but trade still flowed through informal networks. Somali businessmen created one of the world's first stateless economies, with markets, money transfers, and even cell phone networks operating without government oversight. Part 3. Famine and the world's response. The war didn't just kill, it starved. By 1992, famine gripped Somalia. Warlords controlled food aid, using it as a weapon. Images of starving children shocked the world. UN intervention. In April 1992, the UN sent a small peacekeeping force, UNOSOM, but they were under-resourced, unable to secure aid routes. Operation Restore Hope. In December 1992, the US led a massive humanitarian mission. Marines landed on Mogadishu's beaches. President George H.W. Bush declared the U.S. was acting out of human compassion. For a brief moment, hope returned. Here's a fun fact. The U.S. military was initially welcome. Ordinary Somalis clapped when Marines landed, hoping the Americans would end warlord rule, but peace was fragile. When President Bill Clinton took office in 1993, U.S. forces shifted from food delivery to trying to nation-build and disarm warlords, especially Mohammed Farah Aidid. That shift would prove disastrous. Part 4. Black Hawk Down, October 1993. The climax came on October 3rd to 4th, 1993. U.S. Special Forces launched a raid in Mogadishu to capture Aidid's lieutenants. It was supposed to take an hour. Instead, it became an 18-hour urban battle. The Battle of Mogadishu. Somali militias, supported by civilians, swarmed the city. 2 Black Hawk helicopters were shot down. U.S. Rangers and Delta Force operators fought block by block to survive. Casualties: 18 Americans were killed, over 70 wounded. Estimates suggest hundreds of Somalis died. Graphic images of American bodies dragged through Mogadishu's streets shocked U.S. viewers. Aftermath: the battle broke American will. Clinton pulled out U.S. troops within months. The UN mission collapsed soon after. Somalia was left adrift. Mythbuster: many believe the U.S. abandoned Somalia. In truth, Washington shifted to offshore containment, naval patrols, intelligence operations, and occasional airstrikes, but direct engagement ended. Part 5. The Warlord Years, 1994 to 2000. With the UN gone, Somalia splintered further. Factional rule. Warlords entrenched themselves in Mogadishu. Outside the capital, regions broke away. Somaliland declared independence in 1991. Puntland declared autonomy in 1998. Neither is internationally recognized, but both remain more stable than Mogadishu to this day. Life in anarchy. Remarkably, some parts of Somalia thrived. Private entrepreneurs built telecommunications, airlines, and money transfer systems. Somalis abroad sent billions in remittances. Some scholars argue Somalia had more freedom without government than with one, a controversial claim. But freedom came with violence. Kidnappings, arms smuggling, and piracy flourished. Ordinary Somalis endured chaos. Part 6. The Rise of the Islamic Courts, 2000 to 2006. By the 2000s, warlords had lost legitimacy. Enter the Islamic Courts Union, YCU, grassroots justice. The ICU started as neighborhood courts run by clerics and businessmen. They offered what warlords couldn't: security and justice. Sharia courts resolved disputes fairly, gained popular support, and gradually expanded. 2006 turning point. The ICU captured Mogadishu, driving out warlords. For the first time in 15 years, the city had relative peace. Even piracy declined briefly. Fun fact: for many Somalis, 2006 was the most stable year since 1991. Shops reopened, militias disbanded, and Mogadishu buzzed with life. But the U.S. saw the ICU as Islamist extremists. Backed by Washington, Ethiopia invaded Somalia in December 2006, toppling the ICU. This intervention reignited war and fueled radicalism. Part 7. Al-Shabaab and Global Terrorism. Out of the ruins of the ICU, a militant faction rose, Al-Shabaab, meaning the youth. Origins. Initially a radical wing of the ICU, Al-Shabaab embraced jihadist ideology and linked with Al-Qaeda. Tactics: suicide bombings, assassinations, guerrilla warfare. They targeted the weak Transitional Federal Government, TFG, and African Union peacekeepers, AMISOM. Regional threat. Al-Shabaab extended beyond Somalia, launching attacks in Kenya and Uganda. Their 2013 attack on Nairobi's Westgate Mall and the 2015 Garissa University massacre shocked the world. Mythbuster. Piracy off Somalia's coast wasn't directly run by Al-Shabaab. Pirates and militants sometimes cooperated, but piracy was mostly driven by economic desperation and collapsed fisheries. Part 8. International efforts and African Union involvement. From 2007 onward, the African Union deployed peacekeepers, Ugandan, Burundian, Kenyan, Ethiopian, and others. AMISOM's role. They gradually pushed Al-Shabaab out of Mogadishu, 2011, and other cities. But Al-Shabaab remained resilient, controlling rural areas and running a shadow government. Somali politics. Fragile transitional governments gave way to a federal government in 2012. International donors poured in aid, but corruption plagued progress. The diaspora factor. Millions of Somalis abroad sent remittances, funded schools, and lobbied governments. In some ways, Somalia's diaspora became as important as the state itself. Part 9. Somalia. Today, a struggle between hope and hardship. 3 decades after 1991, Somalia remains fragile, but not hopeless. Political challenges. Elections are often delayed. Clan politics dominate parliament. Federalism remains contested. Security issues. Al-Shabaab continues to wage insurgency. In some areas, they collect taxes more efficiently than the government. Signs of progress. A new constitution is under debate. Mogadishu has seen reconstruction, new businesses, even tourism attempts. Somali musicians, athletes, and scholars thrive abroad, shaping a global Somali identity. Fun fact, despite chaos, Somalia has one of the most active mobile banking systems in Africa. Mobile money is more common in Mogadishu than in many Western cities. Part 10. Lessons of the Somali Civil War. What does Somalia's story teach us? 1. State collapse is rarely sudden. It's decades of corruption, repression, and external meddling. 2. Humanitarian aid is political. Food, medicine, and peacekeepers become weapons when warlords control them. 3. Local legitimacy matters. The Islamic Courts Union gained support because they delivered justice, not because of foreign backing. 4. Foreign interventions can backfire. Ethiopia's 2006 invasion, backed by the US, helped spawn Al-Shabaab. 5. Resilience is real. Despite war, famine, and extremism, Somalis built functioning markets, schools, and communities. The Somalia Civil War is not just a story of chaos. It's the story of how a nation collapsed under the weight of dictatorship, Cold War politics, and foreign intervention, but also how its people have survived with resilience and ingenuity. From Black Hawk Down to the rise of Al-Shabaab, from pirates on the high seas to entrepreneurs with cell phones, Somalia has been both a cautionary tale and a testament to human endurance. As history buffs, we often ask, what keeps societies together, and what happens when they fall apart? Somalia offers both warning signs and lessons of hope. If you found this deep dive into Somalia's Civil War eye-opening, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, do you think Somalia will one day rebuild into a stable democracy, or will clan politics and militancy keep pulling it apart? Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring history's hidden chapters.